Alright, for today, I want to check out this video by Mayorski, Men's Obsession with Dying in Battle. And already seeing Goku and Vegeta doing the last stand. This is the fight against Metal Cooler. I'm pretty sure it is. But I think this is something that it's just been written into like media and culture for a long time. It's also like pretty standard. Like if you do think about it logically throughout history, who have been the ones that have been in the wars to fight the men that were sent to the war? What are some of the rallies that were used to like invigorate or raise morale? It's fighting for your people, for your kingdom, your country, whatever, your loved ones back home. So it's like um using the means of not the means, sorry. It's like using the intrinsic nature to protect or defend, which would have been done way like tens of thousands of years ago against like other tribes, other animals. Like it is something that has been in the nature of men for a long time. And it's unfortunate that some people they think that that is not part of a men's nature to protect because they've had some bad experiences with men in their own lives. But this is something that should have been like deep rooted in nature, like historically and naturally. This is what is done.
The Tale
Let's
of the
get into
Bridge
Oh, I didn't even. If you do enjoy the video, make sure you go over there and channel, give them a like, comment, subscribe, because they deserve it. And let's actually get into this. Sorry about that.
Berserker is one of those stories that feels more like a climax to a movie than an actual historical event. But according to Wikipedia,
I looked at other sources. Wikipedia is just easier to read.
it was just
That's fair. And the funny thing is, like, yeah. Oh my god, you're using Wikipedia. That thing's so unreliable. But at the same time, most of them use their own sources anyways that you can literally reference. And then if you just go to their own references and use that instead, it's like, oh wow, you read like, oh, you researched it perfectly, or you looked your sources well. It's like I just went to Wikipedia, grabbed their sources, and then that's it, and then they won't say shit. Oh, 1066. Okay, I do actually. I think I played a flash game or browser game about this fight. Actually, I think I. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. It was actually yes, King Harold. Yeah, I have played a game that was based on. I believe it's this war. Because I remember 1066 for the game. I don't remember what it. I don't know if it's actually just called 1066, but I do remember playing it, and it was quite fun because of how stupid it is.
one of the many pivotal battles between England, led by King Harold II, against the invading Norwegian Vikings, led by King Harold III.
There are two things about this story that make me want to
What
believe
is
this
from
was
next?
someone's creative writing session back in 1060. I don't know when this happened. Number one, the fact they fought on a bridge called Stamford Bridge that led to a town also called Stamford Bridge. Number two, according to documents, the Vikings had no idea that such a large English army was at their doorstep. Most of them were completely drunk and asleep in the middle of the day. So when an entire English army shows up, they overwhelmingly get the advantage in battle. But what halted the English army in their tracks was that on that narrow wooden bridge, one lone warrior, his name unrecorded in history, raised his axe and stood defiant against 15,000 English warriors, intent on granting his king and his people the time they desperately needed. And the only other information we know about this guy is that he was labeled a berserker by his enemies for his barbaric way of fighting and the fact that he just wouldn't go down.
Dude, that's so badass though. Like, guys, come on. Are we gonna lie to ourselves and not say that is freaking awesome? Like, this story just sounds great and it's amazing. Like, you hear that and you're like, oh, hell yeah. Or like, oh, he's badass. Like, come on. Who are we lying to ourselves if we don't say that? But one other thing is, for humans, our adrenaline is actually an insane factor for the things we are capable of, and it does provide some extra energy, extra strength. Like someone was able to lift a car off of their, I believe it was their child, because there was so much adrenaline going through them that they wanted to protect them or save them. So they managed to lift a car partially off their kid enough so that they could be removed from underneath. And then another one was a woman, because everyone has adrenaline. She was giving her mother CPR for, I think it was like 15 hours or something, until the paramedics were able to arrive, because they were like on a mountain or in a hiking area or something. So they had to wait for like the helicopter, rescue copter to show up. And she had been continuously doing the chest compressions for so long, just to make sure she can keep her mom alive. Her parent, I'm pretty sure it was her and her mom. But the adrenaline that is going through you is such a powerful force that can allow you to like shrug off a lot of pain, damage, including give yourself more strength. Like, it is so important. So if you can find a way to basically psych yourself up and use the adrenaline pumping through you, like, you can become an actual like one-man army, like, if you can use it well.
He made Stamford Bridge a bloodbath, and he managed to take down 40 English soldiers all by himself, before someone wised up and stabbed him with a spear from below the bridge.
Yep. Tactics. You need to do whatever you need to do to win, and one of the best ways is utilizing strategies. Having the larger military force does not matter, or potentially the superior military force doesn't matter if your tactics are absolutely shite. Look at what happened. What is their Viscus? But Rome. So they had like an entire legion, a massive legion, going to. Was it the Frank? No, but they were heading to. I believe it was the land that would be Germany today, and there was a person that was basically defecting. So he knew, and he was part of the military, so he knew how they would operate. Use that type of actions against them, or that knowledge against them, and a very small force managed to take out in a massively over-geared, over-trained legion very easily. So tactics will trump all, even if you are Achilles, even if you are the berserker. Like,
oh, that's so lame. His story is a story of a
like, look at this. It looks so weird here. But when I hear this, I do think of like the Changbon Bridge, like for Dynasty Warriors. Like, that is a series, a franchise I love so much, based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And some of the games will have Zhang Fei on a bridge doing basically this exact thing, and it is so cool. Or Lu Bu doing the same thing. Guan Yu does the same. Like, there's so many moments where there's like awesome people like making a stand somewhere, and then most of the time they do actually make it out. Like, it's crazy. Like, some of the cinematics for games, when they showcase like just a soldier or even like a named like officer, general, whoever makes a stand, like, you can feel it, but they are like doing something. They aren't just there to showboat. They're there for a reason, for a purpose.
Man who reached the peak of masculinity, sacrificing himself in combat, and is the kind of man I fantasize in my head as I'm on my way to work.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yes. Let's go.
Pretend I'm driving, okay? I forgot to get actual footage of me driving when I was going to work.
Hey, you gotta be safe, brother. No worries, no worries.
So, yeah.
Stop staring at me! What are you doing?
This scenario my adult brain whipped up comes from the part of my mind that the internet has deemed to coin as my masculine urge. Initially, it was a term people used to ironically make fun of hyper-masculine dumb boy things, like throwing a rock to break a sheet of ice, or throwing trash into a bin from really far away, or to wear a long overcoat and wander through the streets during a cold winter night.
Well, it's just one of the things, guys. You know how it is.
Or to dig a really big hole.
Dude, I love this. I love seeing these ones where it's like someone starts digging a hole, and then just like 20 other random dudes on the beach just show up and start digging as well. It's so funny to me.
This funny little trend, however, gets kind of interesting when men across the world agree on more serious masculine urges, to a pretty noticeable degree, like the urge to seclude yourself from society to focus on self-improvement, being able to perform a task at the highest level due to grueling, meticulous training, and of course being able to pull off an extraordinary heroic feat that saves lives. Everywhere I look, if you go down the rabbit hole enough, there are guys all agreeing that being extremely capable at something that benefits the lives of others is a fantasy of theirs. And the apex of this idea is the act of self-sacrifice in combat.
100%. Like, okay, I feel like we have all done this. Like, a lot of like other like the gals, they'll do their own like fantasies. They'll like think about like, oh, I was thinking about this, this, and this. Oh, this happened. But then guys, our fantasies are like, dang, imagine if I'm at school or something and you're in high school or something, and then like for some reason a shooter shows up and you're like, I can take them, I can stop them, I will save everyone. And it's like, you know you can't, but at the same time you imagine it, regardless of whether it would ever happen or not, which hopefully it never will. For people like having to experience that would be terrible, but at the same time you imagine it. Or even weirder, like you're just thinking, oh man, aliens are gonna show up and then I'm gonna stop them, I'm gonna unlock my latent power that I totally have, guys, and I'm gonna stop them because I'm different, I'm chosen. And then you're like thinking about all these random things. They don't make sense, they're not real, and you don't assert them to be real. That's, I think, the fun part is you want to like fight for a reason, fight for the people around you, fight for something, and having them like witness that you have done or know that you've done this for them. I think that might be one of the best feelings that might drive this kind of thought process, is that you've given your everything for another person or people, and that they can be safe and hopefully be safe and keep living.
One of man's biggest fantasies.
So true though. Yeah.
Now, I am not a neuroscientist, but I am certain that this tickle at the back of my brain when I watch this kind of stuff, it's real, right? It's real. I'm not just concussed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I love the way he's doing this, like between animation, but I really like this. It's actually so fun. Wait, I love he just like, he's not trying to be like super hyper like insane art style. I think this is actually like beautiful. Like it's funny, it's silly, and it's honestly more original than I've seen like for a lot of stuff. Like I don't really see this anymore. This used to be like super old school animation or cartoons even, but then we don't see that anymore. So honestly, I love this
stuff. It's real, right? It's real. I'm not just concussed. It's a real thing that you guys experience too. I want to preface that this isn't all men. We are not a symbiotic hive mind that think and act the same. But a lot of us are pretty damn close. Search up any...
That is actually so true. Yeah, it's not everyone, of course, but you can be damn sure that there's probably at least once that most men have thought about this type of stuff. At least once they have done so. Some of them way more often.
YouTube video that's titled something like POV, this is your final stand. You'll feel like you just walked into a room full of shonen protagonists. It's kind of cringe, but I love it. And audio when it's time to lock in. This is your villain arc, or the all-reliable, the indomitable human spirit. It's clear from the comments of these videos that people listen to this stuff to get a good pump for a workout, or when they need motivation to get back on the metaphoric horse of life. The reason why I bring this up in the context of self-sacrifice is these one-liners are often taken from scenes where the character unlocks their hidden potential. They cast aside every other desire except for overcoming the obstacle in front of them, and whether they die or not, they're throwing everything they humanly can at you. Cause just like every RPG, you can still hit a crit at 1 HP. This then usually follows with a superhuman feat and or going out in a blaze of glory. And a lot of guys resonate with this kind of stuff. Me included. I, along with these Reddit people, fantasize of a world where we hone in solely on the enemy and for a moment become mankind's most dangerous fighter.
Yeah, that's not the only thing too, is think about how many cultures have the tradition of like dying with honor, which is usually fighting for basically the protection or for another person, not just for the sake of yourself. Like, look at Japanese culture for samurai various. They believe in like very high honor, which is fighting. Hell, you look at Zoro, he's like scars on the back are a swordsman's shame. And then you have Blackbeard. They had the whole moment where he's like, all these attacks on his front and on his back, not a single wound or blemish. Like, it's moments where you're standing tall and you are in the face of adversity and you are handling it, not surviving it potentially, but you are taking it head on. Like, you can say it's toxic masculinity, fine, but it is definitely a means of like protecting those behind you, basically.
It's like that one Kanye West song, you know? It's provocative. Gets the people going. This guy. Imagine being someone that powerful. Imagine the satisfaction of being that unit that just doesn't go down. And even if you do die, you're known as the warrior that took down 200 people to kill or something. Such a fantasy would only be seen in the movies. Except when it actually did happen in feudal Japan.
There we go. Okay, yeah, I definitely was having a brain fart, so I'm so glad he's Is this a dynasty bell? What is happening here? He brought it up because he's going to explain it better. I completely brain farted.
Saito Musashibo Benkei was a Japanese warrior
I remember hearing specifically Benkei.
monk who defended the bridge to his lord's castle to his dying breath. It was said that he sliced and diced over 300 soldiers with his Nekiba in order to buy time for his master to honorably commit seppuku. That's 299 times someone has had to watch their guy get eviscerated, and the guy that killed him just stares at you like,
"You next?"
Next. By number 300 or so, the enemy wised up and was like, oh yeah, screw this, and started taking pot shots at him from a distance. And he still tanks them. After riddling him with so many arrows, one brave soldier actually gets close enough to look at him, only to realize that
he'd already died standing.
He was already dead.
Yes.
He was already gone multiple arrows ago. And he died standing upright with his glaive in his hand, propping himself up.
That's so cool.
This is literally white people.
Yes, bro, yes.
Weird. The thing
I love
is,
this guy
was basically already an anime character before all this. He's a weapons expert who kept his Masakari, his Kumade.
Oh my god, he's a person that held every weapon that he could utilize on him at once. That is insane as well.
His Tetsubo, and
I was about to say, he had one of them there.
A bunch of other weapons on him at all times. He roamed Japan claiming the swords of over 999 different samurai he had defeated, and he would have gotten to number 1000 if it wasn't for that damn Yoshitsune who beat him in combat. But it was
That's why I know this name. It's the freaking is.
Same Yoshitsune that became his best buddy for life and was the same guy he defended on that bridge. Now, I'm going to refrain from speaking about this any longer because I can feel that masculine tingle in my head and it's happening again and I don't know how to stop it. That epic feeling of someone's life in your hands and the odds of survival being so close to zero ironically fills you up with adrenaline to keep on going.
Is this based on him? Because this looks more like this is like Han Dynasty China. Is this based on... I'm trying to look at like the background, the structure of the building. and the design. I'm not actually certain because there are definitely parallels. Because I mean, the Japanese kanji is a derivative of the Chinese kanji, so a lot of influence has been done. A lot of cultural crossover happens. But I'm curious if I need to remember his name. Mayorski, right? If he has played Dynasty Warriors, 'cause if he has not, I highly would recommend it to him because there are so many moments that will give him that type of a feel. Although some of them will kind of drag on, and by that I mean like it kind of gets a bit repetitive because it's like, oh, this character does it in this campaign, and then a different character is going to do the same thing, but later on in the same mission, and then it's a bit repetitive at times, but I do think he would enjoy some of the stories. If he doesn't want to play it himself, he can like look at other people or whatever. But yes, highly recommend because has so many stories for that.
At least, I think it does. The closest thing I ever got to Mortal Kombat was when I was clutching a victory royale with the boys. Benkei, Whitebeard, All Might, Moomin Rider, future Gohan. It might be a little cringe, but I identify with these people. I identify with the virtue of self-sacrifice. Because
that is another very important thing that he does bring up is we don't really need like the same representation some other people do for guys, like not as much. It's not the same as everyone, but we will identify more with motifs, actions, and the feelings like this rather than, oh, this person looks like me. Like there are going to be some that do, but at the same time I feel like overwhelmingly we identify more with like Goku or Vegeta during his sacrifice here more than we do with person that looks like us, because what we want to resonate with more is action.
Because it shows that you are willing to risk your life for something that is bigger than just your sentiment of wanting to stay alive. Well, why is it self-sacrifice specifically that I like? That same courageous virtue could definitely be seen with moms raising children or a child taking care of their parents in their old age. The short answer is that would be a terrible action movie to watch. The long answer...
Okay, that's a funny one. Okay, but on the note with like the raising the parent, like I don't know if you guys have seen like this specific short film. Hold up, let me see if I can try to find it. Basically, I believe it's Chinese based is the one that this one is. And basically he's working like tons of different jobs. He's skipping his meals. He's making sure his daughter, like I guess it's only the two of them, there's no mother. And he's working all these multiple jobs. He's skipping food, making sure that she's eating though, trying to show up for all of her things, trying to make as much money as possible for her so she can live like happy normal life. And then she like the whole thing is her reading like a story for class where she's like, I love my dad even though like all these other problems are happening and he's doing this for me. I'm happy with him and I love him. And it's like, oh my god, it just feels so different because it's like it's not this, it's a different type of self-sacrifice, but it does feel like you will hit it will hit you, honestly. Okay, this is just like the short aside. This is the one I'm talking about.
He lies about having money.
He's like doing
He
all these
lies
jobs.
that he's not tired. He lies that he's not hungry. He lies that we have everything. He lies about his happiness. He lies because of me.
I think this is like such a great little short um little thing. But I think that is like another part of it is it's for the sake of another person. I think that's the primary factor for like the reason why we feel so strongly about this sometimes is we are like in the interest of like doing something for another person. Like it's a selflessness that I think many people end up like unable to do for themselves, whether it's out of immaturity or just the inopportunity. But a lot of us do think about or fantasize about like the things that we would do for the sake of the person we love, whether that's our partner, our family, friends, our children. Like it, I believe this is something that is the reason why we are so obsessed with like self-sacrifice specifically, because we want to make other people happy, even if it wears us down, even if we are torn apart. But anyways, let's go back to this.
Uh, we're gonna have to enter a pretty dark and malevolent place to get it. A place full of toxic COD lobbies and men hating on any woman that isn't built like an over-sexualized white 90s character. A place I never truly understood, but for the sake of the video, and I love you guys, we're gonna open this Pandora's box to make sense of a few things. I'm talking about the world of masculinity. Hey, y'all like the fit? Despite the cat ears, this
Let's say I
is
like
the
the
most
baby.
masculine thing I could come up with. My
That's great.
masculine outfit is in the wash until Tuesday. Trust me, okay? But the lumberjack outfit, I thought exuded masculinity. All right, you blue-haired betas. Oh, God. My eyes. Class is in session. I'm not doing that again. Despite my machismo look, we're not here to talk about sports or cars or women. We're here to talk about gender theory. Gender theory. Now look, I decided to get a degree in something that society actually values and pays decently well, so I am not exactly an expert in this whole debacle, but I am trying my best here. What
The slight shade, I appreciate it. I got mine in psychology and I don't use it because, yeah, failed. So, well, not failed. I did graduate, but didn't do anything with it. Therefore, I count that as a fail.
What you are witnessing now is a live autopsy of a guy analyzing his past self and why he had these kind of red pill adjacent ideas about masculinity. I'm just hoping we can all learn from it, okay? I'm not exactly prideful or happy. I used to think this way, but hey, we thank God for progress, okay? So if I slip up and say something out of pocket, that's why. Gender euphoria is simply defined as the satisfaction someone feels when their gendered experience aligns with their gendered identity. Basically, it feels good to be a boy and do boy stuff because you're taught this is what boys like. We all basically know this, but there are certain traits as a man that feel good to perform as a man who follows these ideals of what a man is supposed to be. These are some of them now.
I don't agree with this one. This is if you want to hate yourself, you play League. Guys should, you know what? Actually, 100%. The wife beater. I swear, bro. I swear. Oh god. Gaslighting. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Some of these got updated in the last patch, so I don't know why they're still there. Traits like self.
Yes, I'm so glad he brought up this the Isle trailer. This fight was insane, and it's just a random nameless dude. Like, bro, this fight's crazy.
Sufficiency, dominance, being powerful and muscular. These are the things that a guy who falls under this sense of what it means to be a man values, in a sense, because in their head that is what's necessary in order to perform as a man. And I want to put heavy emphasis on the term perform because it actually is a performance. There are definitely times as a man where I don't want to be all these things, but I feel like I gotta, hence performing. It's not a natural thing. In fact, the male body might compel us to cry or be vulnerable at certain times, but as a man, we don't cry, right? So we thug it out, we thug it out.
Yeah, I do agree that there has definitely been a move for. I think this has been like for a long time coming, even like maybe even before like most of our societies even existed. That if the men appear weak, then they can be destroyed. Therefore, like I'm talking about like way back, even like before, uh, like 10,000 years ago, even like if the quote unquote protectors or the people who are supposed to be strong are weak, then the enemies or the people that are nearby, because all the tribes and various people, not everyone was kumbaya before like the first civilization appeared. So if there is a weakness, like if you ever hear like you target the weak link in various activities, like whether it's sports, whether it's war, you target the weaknesses and then you exploit them. So doing so, sorry, in order to avoid that, you have to never appear weak, which I think this has been like a self-preservation type of thing that has been perpetuated throughout history, long before our first recorded history. Like that's what I'm thinking for this.
And then we die at 60. You know, despite the discourse online that certain men say that men don't care about feelings and they're not important to us, I think they're very much are. Look,
I think so too. The emotions are usually what drive us to do something. If you have a person that doesn't have any emotions, they're completely apathetic, they don't do anything. They'll never do anything. It's when you have the emotions that you actually accomplish or can act on something, which is, I think, the basis for this also like self-sacrifice that we're also kind of revolving around is your emotions are your driving factor.
look at these red pillars when you encroach on their identity as a man, what they think it means to be a man. And then you'll see yourself if feelings are definitely non-important for a man or never are expressed properly. Authenticity, defined by Charles Taylor, is the creation and construction as well as discovery of oneself. To be authentic is to perform these traits you think aligns with you in order to become a man. So this is what they hammer in. This is the appeal for a lot of self-help advice for men online. There's a road you're supposed to follow, and if you follow it, you'll come out the other end a man. An authentic man. Traditional masculinity will tell you that you are not just born a man, but you need to become one as well. This is a big reason why a lot of male-dominated media usually have this stoic powerhouse of a man, moving as a force of nature, pummeling enemies into submission, and then we as men all go, yeah, that guy has it all figured.
Well, not only that, but a lot of those times these guys that we're being shown, they do still have emotions. They have to just kill them off or suppress them in order to accomplish or protect others, because if they don't, like I said, they could be exploited, or uh they won't be treated the same way, which could frighten them as well, which is a separate issue. But I think in the end, hold up. But yeah, like sometimes we don't think they have it figured out. I think it's more so we want to aspire to achieve a similar state. Like a lot of the best stories, they aren't just one note the entire time. There is actual character development for the most part. There's the reason why we have the hero's journey, and there's like a rise and a fall, and then they rise back after the fall. There's a whole like sequence to it. It's not just the same the entire time. And I think that's the important part, is that a lot of us, we kind of only look at like certain parts of them, of like heroes or these characters, and we assert that as like their overall, like that's how their life has always been, that's how it's always going to be. Many of the stories that we love, there's a lot of turmoil, there's a lot of emotional like drain, and they end up pushing through it and having to live with it. Like he brought it up earlier, we have future Gohan, everyone he knows and loves except for like his mom and grandpa, they're dead. uh he then goes to try to fight to basically give Trunks like his like a power up potentially, because he could not experience loss because he was too young to uh feel that with anything other than with him. So Yeah.
like him. So researching this video, I discovered a pretty spooky place on Reddit. There was this post about asking these veterans from war why they like war so much.
Also, W music. I love Majula.
And despite how unpleasant and traumatic so many other soldiers say it is, why do they specifically almost like obsess over it and dream about it like it's the glory days? Here are some of my favorite quotes and responses to that question. War stops time and intensifies the experience to the point of horrific ecstasy. War brings infinite foreign experiences and a lifetime's worth of unbelievable. There's just something about knowing you won't make it that helps you fight so much harder.
So a struggle to survive.
And we all, and men in particular, still want and need a narrative.
Okay, so like basically a driving force. I think that is still like the basis of what I wanted to say as well, is we all need a purpose, or we feel we need a purpose, I think is the better way. Rather than giving ourselves one, we feel the need to gain one through others in a different means. Whether that's the self-sacrifice, whether that's fighting to defend another person, whether that's giving support to another person at your own expense. Like, it's giving yourself a drive. I think that it's the internal like power for this.
All right, yeah. Someone take Master Chief's keyboard away. This guy is yapping too much. Guy, did you just hear how metal that sounded? We might discuss it with our friends and make these long intellectual video essays as to why we like said character. But I'll speak just for me at least. A lot of these characters that fall into this stereotypical man archetype, at the end of the day, it comes down to if I think they're cool or not, and if I aspire to be a certain aspect of them. So far, I don't think I've said anything controversial or necessarily wrong. I've pointed out that traditional masculinity teaches you to take responsibility of your life and kind of pull up your socks in a way. I don't think anybody can really have fault in that. The bad part is, these people are not real. No human man is able of reaching these peak levels of traditional masculinity just like in the media. And nor should you want to. We are not these men only have 4 moods animals that a lot of people online say we are. That all we need in life is muscles, money, and someone to boss around, and then we're just content with life. No. Sure, some of this stuff might make us feel good in a certain way, but take Kratos for example. Do you think Kratos likes ice cream? You think Kratos eats ice cream regularly? If you're trying to be like Kratos, then are you now going to go cold turkey on ice cream because he said to? He doesn't do it? You want to be like Kratos, right? So stop looking at this guy and saying, I want to be just like him. You like aspects of him. You can't be him. It's not possible. So then that...
I think that's the right point, is just, we don't want to be someone, we want to aspire to be like someone, not to be them. So there's always parts where you want to pick and choose parts of another person that you want to mimic or aspire to. And I think that's something that's kind of been forgotten, or it's kind of been overwritten by a lot of people nowadays with like these like self-help or like masculine, like become a man type of things. Like they usually tell you should be doing this or you should be like this, rather than you should aspire to achieve something like it, not exactly that.
Begs the question, what happens when a man who identifies with this image of being a man can't fulfill these roles or these ideals and feels inauthentic? Well, for one, they become bitter to themselves and everyone around them. And if they can't live out this version of being a man, then they'll die being one. I love The Walking Dead. It's one of those games that as years go by, it comes under a lot of criticism for lacking continuity between its seasons and game mechanics that did not age well. And as a video essayist who cares a lot about media literacy, I ignore all these critiques because I like this game a lot. The reason why I
mean, if you love it, screw it, man. Hell, it's great. Enjoy it.
Bring this game up is because I want to talk about a perfect case of a real traditional man's man not being able to perform his duties and turning very sour in the end. Season 4 of The Walking Dead is in the perspective of this new guy named Javi, a Mexican ex-baseball player in his 20s who, like everyone else, has had to learn to survive the zombie apocalypse day by day. The prologue of the season shows Javi having an older brother named David, who at the very least had a pretty good life set up for himself as opposed to his irresponsible little brother. David's got 2 great children, a staff sergeant role in the US States Army, and a loving wife who loves him very, very much. At least much more than his first wife. He has everything a guy like him thinks he needs to be a man. But the problem is, he is a real piece of work. He constantly abuses his wife, blows up on his little brother over the smallest of arguments, and you can get this feeling that even though he's retired from the front lines, he misses the whole life or death rush of warfare and would trade that over his boring dad life in a heartbeat.
There are quite a few people that you can see a lot of stories of various veterans that desperately wished there could be another war or that they could go back to war because they do not enjoy the a slower life. They can't function outside of this high octane life or death situation for themselves.
My job sucks. Kate and I fight like cats and dogs. I belong back in the army. I had a purpose there.
Some stuff happens when the zombies break out and David gets separated from his family, leaving Javi to be the main protector for years. And later in the season, when he finally does reconnect with them, David kinda just pushes Javi to the side, picks up his family, and disregards the fact Javi was ever there? Huh? David thinks he can just slot right back into being a father and a husband, but Kate, his wife? She is distraught that they found each other because David goes back to being this bossy, abusive husband. And also she realizes that she might have married the wrong brother. Gabe, while happy to see his dad, can see the kind of person he turns into when he's not happy, and it scares him. Mariana, his daughter, is in video game heaven at this point. But if she was alive, I'm sure she would say the same thing, that although they were stuck on the road, clinging for survival, she'd much rather prefer Javi being her carer over her gun-crazed, power-hungry dad. You can tell that this shift in allegiance to Javi messes with David's head. Like a lot.
Jesus, okay.
This now causes him to indirectly punish Javi even more and keep an even tighter grip on Gabe and Kate. Like, it's really uncomfortable seeing a man trying to forcefully make his traditional values work rather than just having a conversation. It's like a baby jamming a circle into a triangle-shaped hole thinking something's going to change eventually. And on top of all that, it's kind of ironic he keeps telling Javi to stop running away from family responsibilities. But at the same time, he's also kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to go back to shooting stuff, so do you mind being the dad now? David annoys me.
Yeah, I was gonna say this character arc for him just does. I think he's just supposed to be there are definitely people that are like this, but he basically cannot handle not having someone direct him, but at the same time, he can't handle not being in control. I think he's actually having this character just has so many problems with himself. He doesn't have a purpose now that he's not in the military. And the fact that he's not in the military and he has to do all these other stuff, he doesn't know how to actually act because he basically has forgone discipline outside the military because it's too cushy now. And with that, he's misusing his own capabilities and his power on other people, and then he lashes out because he's not getting what he wants, or because I think he's just really challenged between what he wants to be, what he thinks he needs to be, and yet he can't push himself to actually achieve it. I think he's just given up on himself, even though he doesn't want to end it, but he doesn't want to give up either. It's a weird, probably that's how the character feels so far. I've not played this. The character is extremely flawed and very childish. I don't know the backstory because I saw that you kept your promise to your father when Javi says, I love you, brother, to him. So I'm not sure what extra information I could glean, but just from this base part, it's really bad.
Because I don't think he's a bad guy. He does genuinely care about Javi and the people under his care, but he keeps letting his principles and his ideals get in the way of genuine growth.
A soldier isn't a husband or a father. A soldier is a soldier. Nothing else.
After seeing his brother, who he thought initially was useless, actually turn into more of a leader and a father figure to his family than he ever was, it is such an attack on his identity that he makes the most emotion-filled, petty decisions at every turn in the game. So it makes sense that he is ready to do these hell-bent Call of Duty kill Makarov suicide missions, rather than wake up and smell the roses that maybe what he thinks is a good man is wrong. He thinks there's only one way to being a man and he's going to stick to it no matter the cost. I feel as though David is a representation of a broader topic on the plight of men in the modern age. He's like an extreme of what it looks like to allow the shackles of masculinity and, to be honest, just being a bad person can do to you.
Yeah, I do think there is also a big movement that has been made to completely demonize any masculine actions or motions even. Like, it has been so extreme that I think this is actually one of the problems that has pushed some people to be like David there. Right now is their feeling is this: they can never be enough. And then when they're constantly being like demonized as well, like he deserves it for his actions, but I think that he's done it to himself mentally. Like internally, he's doing it to himself. He's always viewing himself like he's never enough. He can't achieve what he needs to be for his family, and he's basically tearing himself down, but never building himself back up. And then he just keeps perpetually doing that to the point where he's now emotionally stunted, and he doesn't know how to act. He doesn't know how to grow. And then he ends up taking it out on others because it's easier than taking it out on himself again.
For hundreds of years, men were seen as the only people who could provide for a family in ways like finance and security. And in current year,
It's a girl's world. Women are statistically outperforming men in the 21st century. Women now account for 50.7% of the college-educated labor force, having surpassed men as of 2023, according to the McKinsey and Company study. Companies with female leaders demonstrate higher success rates in organization and financial performance. Regarding college acceptances throughout the country, women have been proven to have higher acceptance rates compared to their male counterparts. Women are statistically outperforming men in various categories, but this has not always been the case. For centuries, boys seemingly held the upper hand in various facts of life, like academics and careers. However, a shift is underway with girls increasingly outperforming boys in education and the workforce. The male-female gap in aptitude is narrowing, with girls and women finding themselves at the top of the scoreboard after years of competition. In contrast, men are seemingly falling behind women between lower college acceptances, graduation rates, and dropout rates. Women are demonstrating that they are more than equal to men in academics. In fact, this gender gap has become alarming to some, including the Common Select Committee, who said in a recent report, "We are increasingly concerned about the male population or male participation, but why is this the case? As the gender war rages on, many questions whether the two genders will ever find balance in education and in the workforce." Trying to think about what I want to add to this. This might be also a bit frustrating to say, but there are a lot of colleges that they will just accept people to do stuff, and they allow people to engage with and pursue careers. Well, not even careers, because most of them don't even get to make a job out of it, but studies that have no, like, there's not much drive, or not drive, sorry. There's not much of a need for a occupation regarding what degree they are pursuing. Like, my college had a minor specifically in yoga. I don't think I would ever need to have that as a minor, but there's other majors as well that you're studying. Like that's basically your idea of, oh, I want my whole career to be based around this major. But some of the majors that people are going for, and there's a lot that have been added as of late that don't make any sense for an actual job. They're just basically for social studies, I guess you could say, but not for the purpose of finding a job. It's for basically themselves, which if you want to go to college for yourself, that's fine. But if you're expecting a job out of it and you're going for these weird random studies, I don't think you're doing yourself a favor. And this has definitely been rising a lot. Like one of my other ones is specifically majoring in African American, no, just African women dancing. I think that was a major in my college, and that's all it is specifically about the cultural history of various dances in Africa by women. And I'm like, okay, what kind of career can you make out of this outside of going back to school as a educator? Which that's one thing that people always like will say that, oh yeah, college is a scam or college is a pyramid scheme. Sorry, that was you, not me. And they will say like, oh, so you put money in to get into this thing, and then in order to make money out of it, you have to get other people into it. So that's why people like kind of call like college a pyramid scheme now. But it's also a change for kind of how a lot of places are viewing men and women has been like drastically changing as well. Like I'm pretty sure we always believe that there are points where men and women 100% women are better in certain things, men are better in other things, and then in other parts they can be the same. Some people can be outliers where like a woman in this woman's field is actually worse than some men, or this man in a men's field, traditional men's field, is worse than a woman. Like there's like so many different little nuances that can occur, but I think an overall shift has been happening where it's favoring more so propping up women regardless of whether or not they are putting themselves out there to achieve it. This can be seen with like how there's still the wage gap, and most of it does not most of it, sorry. Some of it does come down to the fact that men are more likely to ask for raises or bargain their starting salary, whereas women do not. Like there's still going to be some that do for the women, but not as much as the men will. And that's a difference that is not going to just change unless there's like a full overhaul or they are specifically given like more to offset this in a way.
A lot of women are gapping men in terms of education, leading to women making more than men, men feeling lesser than, yada yada. Look, there's like 100 videos on the plight of men on YouTube, so go watch those. But essentially, the game mode to life has changed. And a lot of guys, young and old, are stuck trying to make sense of it with old software. And one of the few places a lot of us feel affirmed in our beliefs is through these hyper masculine fantasies. So it makes sense that we attach ourselves to characters in fiction where acting out their masculine urge to protect is still considered super important to that said society. Whether it's guys with a sword, or a space gun, or a space sword gun, it's all the same sentiment of, wow, I'd like to die in a blaze of glory and feel important.
I think that's a different emotion that's happening right now, because I feel like a lot of, like I said, there's a big amount of demonization of just men as a whole right now. And some of these guys, they do just want to die, but they don't want to just die normally. They want to go out like quote unquote in a blaze of glory, whether or not they are doing anything or if it's just happening to them and they're letting it happen, because a lot of them, they've kind of given up on a lot of stuff, and they do want to feel like they matter, and the only way is through this uh fantasy of self-sacrifice for someone else, for the greater good, for anything. Like they don't have their own purpose anymore, and I think it's been basically removed from them because there's it's a minority, but the fact that they are still out there that will espouse this kind of crazy rhetoric is like it's there. So people are saying like, oh, women just having a child is submission to the patriarchy. It doesn't make any sense. That's literally how that's how every life works. Is you go and you make more. You can choose not to, but that doesn't mean, oh, you want a child, therefore you're a submissive trad and you're a pick me or whatever. Like they always, not they, but like those people that are super loud about this demonize literally anything that they don't agree with right now. And it's kind of pathetic because what one person holds as a value, you call as like subhuman basically, whereas the other person's value is completely different from yours.
Again, this is cool. This is badass. This is really inspiring. But just like everything else, taking this stuff to the extreme is where it becomes harmful. On a smaller scale, fantasizing about this version of masculinity can make you unsatisfied with a regular life and daydream about a world where you're the hero. But on a grander scale, it can cause you to put faith in something that will
Isn't real,
ultimately
yeah.
destroy you. Spoilers ahead for chapter 154 of Vinland Saga. They're not major spoilers, I swear. It's about a random Viking dying, but this probably is one of the most important chapters of the entire story. For context, Vinland Saga is a story about an ex-Viking named Thorfinn on a road of redemption after realizing the world of death and vengeance is no longer what he wants to put out into the world. The story delves into heavy philosophical themes on whether humans can truly live in peace, what it means to have an enemy at all, and is violence always the first answer when defending yourself or loved ones. The funny thing is, it's gonna be pretty tough looking for peace in a world full of mankind's most famous people for the kill now, grape women later mentality. The chapter begins in the middle of a
That is conquest throughout history. That is basically how most of history has been done. Like, look at basically any part of the world, who is there was the like common point for when that their ancestors conquered the land of whoever was there potentially. Like there's probably very, very specific places that does not occur, but history is this way. That's how it's been. And on what he was saying, like with how the character is like wondering if there can be a kind world, I don't think there can ever be one because that would mean that no person has an ego essentially. No person has an identity at a point because if anyone wants to uh, be above another person, we've seen how petty or how envious people are, or how they want to be seen as some better than other people in any regard, whether that's their money, their appearance, their morals, even. It's just it won't ever happen, I'd say. And the only way that you could possibly achieve a perfectly peaceful world is through essentially tyranny and oppression, because in order to have a basically peaceful place, you have to outcast or absolutely slaughter any dissenters. And does that sound like a peaceful world? No, I feel like it theoretically could be peaceful, but that's depending on who you're asking at that point of who's there, because it's our side versus their side.
bloodbath of a battle. Heads are being lopped off like long swords, and axes are ripping out intestines. And the main focus of the chapter is this one Viking as he falls in battle after taking several arrows to the body. Laying on the floor, he thinks about how he did a good job in stalling the enemy before they could close their gates. Now his allies can flood the fortress and continue their siege. He's satisfied that he's fought till his last ounce of strength, and as his vision gets blurry, he eagerly awaits to be sent to Valhalla, a realm only for Vikings who died valiantly in deathly combat go to.
Yeah, and then the point. I'm just going to talk about the mythology for that part for a moment because I don't think the story's going to care about it. I'm not sure, but basically, the point of the Valkyries is they take the good fallen soldiers, not just any fallen soldier in a battle. Is they take the good ones to bring them into Valhalla, so then they can join the war for Ragnarok. They joined the Ragnarok war, so they're fighting against Hel and her army of the undead. They're fighting against the Jotuns, Muspelheim, and the fire giants. Like they're there for a reason, and that's to continue fighting, basically.
But nothing happens. There are no heavens opening up to him. There are no Valkyries to carry him to the sky. It's dark and cold, and he can't feel anything. And for once in his life, he fears death, because he realizes the belief of salvation through combat he was taught was a complete lie. This persona or identity of being this machine of killing did not serve him in the slightest, other than give him a purpose to kill time. There's nothing at the end of all this fighting but black. And as his thoughts slow down, we get a panel of him shedding a single tear as he's seen as just another dead body on the battlefront as the war continues. It's pretty depressing stuff. But what I'm getting at is, being so deep-rooted in identity that has so many holes isn't a great way to live. Traditional masculinity can be more of a detriment rather than a benefit, and this glamorous final stand we love to fantasize about may need to be re-evaluated on whether the sentiment comes from an honest perspective in our life. This obsession of dying in battle and being this alpha Chad could allude to a misguided funnel of energy, and maybe the issue isn't why do guys want to rush into guaranteed death in fighting, and maybe it's rather why do guys only see themselves valuable when they go give up their lives.
They're basically taught and pushed to that quite a bit, because we see history books where it's told like, oh, this happened here, this place is gone because they lost the war, or this place ended up reduced to very minimal, they were subservient to another nation now. Or even if you look at like various media, if a person is weak, they're taken advantage of. And you have to be either strong or you have to show no weaknesses to not be taken. Like they are internalizing this type of thought process, and they don't have a means to. They don't have an outlet for it, a proper outlet, because there are outlets that are not good for these emotions, and then there are ways that they can overcome them and then improve themselves. But most people, they don't really have a great means to release this type of discomfort and stress with themselves, and then it ends up like building up and slowly wearing them down until they reach a point where they can only envision themselves dying in a blaze of glory, even though they deep down, I feel like they understand that it won't actually do anything for them, but they can't help but fantasize about it because they've basically given up on any other form that could possibly help them. That's at least what I think.
Hey, yeah, we are in the hot seat now, boys.
I feel like if I even got the most hyper-masculine redneck to look at this meme, and he
Every man has two fantasies. All odds are against all odds are against us, lads. We shall hold no match at the cause. Let us die with honor and glory for something greater than ourselves. Shh, it's okay. You don't need to act strong anymore. Just hold on to me and let it all out. You are good enough. You're a good boy.
had to choose just one and be honest on which side he'd prefer, I think he'd say, every man has two fantasies. All odds are against lads. We shall let it. It's okay. You don't have to act strong anymore.
Oh, he's doing it too.
Yeah, I think I prefer the anime girl. Now, this is not me saying the solution for man's troubles is a woman's compassion.
No. It's specifically an anime girl's compassion, not real women.
But it's a matter of putting our value as a man in the wrong places. The system's rigged because it is almost impossible to derive a satisfactory amount of value from getting money because there is someone online way more rich than you.
I think that's such a stupid thing that people do. I have friends, they can't stop looking online and comparing themselves. Or they keep looking at like, oh, I want a man who's like this, who will treat me like this. And then they keep looking at, I don't know, various influencers on Instagram. Like there's one friend I have. I really hope she does not fall for like some of the craziest things. And she's constantly posting about like, oh man, it is. Sorry, I'm thinking about it. I'm like cringing about the things she's posting right now. I'm like, oh no, don't do it. But basically, it's kind of the opposite side right now, where she's kind of going slightly adjacent to, almost parallel to the hate men, like diehard camp, but also she's still wanting to have a relationship and to have a man in her life, but she's like between the two. And when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at her and I'm like, you need to be very careful with yourself, because you can immediately just end up turning on everything and everyone that you care about because they don't think the same way. And
You can't so
wait, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Wait, I want to go back. But yeah, so various parts are set up against some people, or not set up against them, but they're not like conducive to other people. Like for her, she had a breakup, and she's always looking online. So she's always looking at other people. She's envious of potentially their relationship, their means to travel the world, like she likes to travel, and she's basically always comparing herself to them. I needed this to get myself back on track a bit. But I think it's actually so detrimental. I hate social media for this reason, and I think it is actually really bad for like young people to constantly be comparing themselves using like going online, seeing like, oh, this person my age is a millionaire. What am I doing wrong? Or, oh, this person has a family and I don't. What am I doing wrong? Like, I see my friends, I see them, oh, wow, they're getting married. That's awesome. Move on. Oh, this person there have a kid. That's crazy. Move on. Oh, these guys, they're doing something really cool. I like that. Awesome. And then move on. Like, there's so many people that they can't help themselves but be envious and want to basically, I guess, that in their mind, they might want to be either above their cohorts and their coworkers, their friends, those around them, because they have like such a high impression of themselves that they feel the need to achieve like insanely high standards that they don't have the means to actually achieve, or that they can't uh, achieve on their own. And they have to think about like various ways that they can reach that point, but never really putting in like full effort to get there.
amount of value from getting money because there is someone online way more rich than you. You can't solely get a satisfactory amount of value from working out because there is always someone who has a better physique than you.
This is a different one too, but for guys, this is for like working out like this. This is for yourself or for like show off to other guys. This is not showing off to girls. Like a lot of girls, they don't love this super buff, muscly thing. Like media has always shown us like in the past, like, oh yeah, this is how all the girls want you. But you will see if you've looked at various studies, various surveys, they don't like ultra buff guys. They want like, if you're healthy and fit, that's better than most. They tend to be more like turned away from like this super buff physique. If you're going to go for this, it's because you want to do it for yourself. There are some girls that will be into this, but that's not going to be the majority. And you shouldn't be thinking, oh, I'm going to do this because the girls like it. Do it for yourself. If you want to get this physique, it should be for your own satisfaction and not for another person's. And I think that's a different part that some people with the self-help or like the masculinity help, like that thing, like the alpha wolf thing, which is stupid and bullshit part anyways. They think they're being told like, oh, you need to be doing this, you need to look like this so you're not a loser, so you're not a beta male, a woman will want you, respect you, whatever. You should be doing this for yourself. If you want to look like this, it's for your own satisfaction and not any other reason.
In Christianity, we call this idolatry. It might not mean that you are bowing down and worshiping this thing, but you solely getting your value from these masculine traits means that they are your god in a sense. And I don't know about you, but there are days where it feels good to get a productive day of working out and grinding out a side hustle. But there are also days when I don't hit my goals and I feel like garbage. And if I'm being real, all that other stuff people tell me to put my value in, they just don't hit the same. I don't get the same gender euphoria making videos or doing arts and crafts. I just don't. I might like watching the Barbie movie, but I don't feel manly doing it. Yes, I don't think we should fantasize about self-sacrifice as much as we do, but I have to admit that being in service to others is a pretty good feeling.
So what do we do about this?
If there is a wave of dudes dreaming of dying in battle in order to feel manly and valuable, then I'd hypothesize reevaluating what we see as valuable might give us some clarity on how to move forward. Maybe the idea that we must prove ourselves as men is inherently broken and not in our best interest? Maybe we can feel valuable and help people just like traditional values say, alive rather than dead?
Yeah. No, that sounds boring. I'm kidding. But yeah, I feel like people have like I wanted to say before as well is just I think we've kind of misattributed a lot of this this purpose that we want to have to the wrong aspects, which he's definitely been talking about as well. We are kind of throwing ourselves into the wrong mindset for a lot of stuff and the wrong understanding for various issues. Whereas we should just be using this desire to have a purpose, to give, to protect, whatever, and then using that all the time, as opposed to for one final stand or one last moment, because it's the end after that, and people may mourn you, people may praise you, but you're still gone, and you can't do anything else after that.
I don't have a definitive solution, but there was this article I read from this dude called Prester John titled "On the Masculine Urge to Dying in a Suicidal Charge." And in the article, he mentioned...
Okay, I was going to see if he was going to read it, but I'm going to read it myself then. So, regarding the evolving role of men in society, toxic masculinity, the search for meaning, and contrasting the merits of heroin and cocaine. What? Wait, what the freak? What is going on? So, it's comparing search of meaning and contrasting the merits of heroin and cocaine. Okay.
Article, he mentions this film called...
Okay, I just wanted to get it further. More and more these days, people seem to find a strange pride in how busy they are, as if the less free time you have, the more valid you are as a person. Okay, yeah, this is something that if you ever remember back at like in school or in college, if you ever did that, or even work, and you guys are like comparing like, oh, I only got like a few hours of sleep, and then the other people are like, wow, you got like a few hours, I only got like a couple, and the other person's like, you guys got to sleep. Like, it's basically you're trying to brag about how much you're doing in the dumbest points you can, which is stupid. Because they feel like, oh, if I show that I'm doing more than you, I feel like I'm better than you, or I'm putting in more effort. Which sometimes they are putting in more effort, but other times they're just kind of screwing themselves over for no reason. So I'm no exception to this. I work a full-time job in a demanding tech industry. I am in school full-time for an equally demanding STEM degree. I have an active social life with an admittedly small but close-knit. That's great. You don't need to have a massive friend group, guys. Anyone. It doesn't have to be like 1,000 people, 100 people, not even 10 people. You just need to have a group of people that you can actually trust, that you're close with, that you know you can be yourself, you can be vulnerable, you can do whatever. This is more important than having a million friends. You don't need that. You need people that you can actually rely on, people that will actually be there for you. They're way more valuable than having so many people that they don't even know about you sometimes. So I try to read at least 2 books a month, and I make sure to spend mindful time with my partner, as even a relationship of a decade requires work to maintain. That said, a little time off for what the kids these days call self-care is important too. To the end, I decided to treat myself last weekend while my partner was out of town. I wish I could say I did a yoga retreat or caught up on my reading, but I'm a man of simple taste. I decided to take a THC edible, order pizza, and watch all of Lord of the Rings. Let's go! And predictably halfway through the 2 hours, I found myself crying.
called The Last Samurai as a reference to shed some light on the whole situation.
Okay, he was gonna transition. So I am not the most emotionally expressive guy in the world. I'll be honest, maybe it's my upbringing, maybe it's the culture, but I just don't cry very easily or often. I can count on one hand the number of times I've cried in front of other people as an adult. I don't say this as a point of pride, but as a matter of fact, point of fact. That said, however, I found myself on the couch, pizza half-eaten, stoned off my ass and bawling like a child when watching a movie. This wasn't some random event, however, this part of the movie pretty much always makes me tear up at the very least. It is as reliable as Old Faithful at Yellowstone in some ways. It's a pressure release valve for both of us. If you have somehow never seen Lord of the Rings, I will give you the broad strokes of this particular story. In the second edition of the trilogy, the Two Towers, our heroes have fled the capital city of Rohan to the fortress of Helm's Deep. I'm messing up trying to read right now. To escape the advancing armies of the orcs, they empty the whole city, men, women, and children. Okay. So it's just talking about the way he's feeling, where I think it's just because some people, the things they need to, I guess, alleviate their stress is everyone is different with the way they do it. Some people, they can handle it way better than others. Others, they end up lashing out because they don't know how to handle their own stress. Other people, they turn to drugs, which I guess why that's what he was saying about like heroin and cocaine. Other people drink. Other people, they go to promiscuity. They'll go to like brothels. They'll go to prostitutes. Other people, they'll go to their loved ones. Everyone's different with the way they handle it. And I guess for him, he's handling all this stress. And once he starts watching the movie, he's now on his own time. He's with himself. And I'd say the edible is helping him open himself up to himself. Because a bit of not being as sober, I think it does help a lot of people. Because you're less inhibited in your own thoughts as well. So for him, after being alone on his own, having his edible, helping him like open himself up, and then going to part of a movie he enjoys and that he always finds himself emotional with, it helps him like loosen himself even more, which is a means for him to alleviate any stress. Like, is a means for him to cope, basically.
The story is about
Let me
the
go back to what he's
urge to
saying.
die in a suicidal charge. And in the article, he mentions this film called The Last Samurai as a reference to shed some light on the whole situation. The story is about this washed-up army officer named Nathan Algren, played by Tom Cruise. He's mentally plagued by his participation in the cruel genocide of the American Indian Wars, and now spends his days being part of a traveling circus, where his main act is fetishizing that same war of Western expansion that gives him nightmares. That is until the Imperial Japanese government seek him out directly for a job, to teach their soldiers how to fight with modern military weapons in order to fight a rebel army of samurai. Algren agrees to the offer, but the training is cut short as the rebel samurai leader Katsumoto attacks their base. The samurai make short work of these inexperienced soldiers as they don't even know how to reload a gun, resulting in half the soldiers being dead and Katsumoto's men kidnapping Algren and forcing him to live among them in the Japanese countryside during the winter. Despite their grievances, Katsumoto orders the whole village to treat him as an esteemed guest rather than a prisoner of war. And through talking to Katsumoto, Algren finds out that he's not even that bad of a guy. He's honorable, and he has no issue giving up power to the government, but he hates the trajectory that Japan is heading towards.
That's with a lot of things. Like, you don't need to take power, but you disagree with the direction that things are heading.
Think about why a samurai would hate a machine gun, and you get the reason why he fights back so hard. Both Algren and Katsumoto share their life and death battles, and two philosophies bubble up to the surface. Algren despises this whole suicidal charge mentality a lot of soldiers he knew died from. He hated the fact that just because they were orders from a higher up, he had to continue to fight even though they were outnumbered. He was one of the few survivors of 200 men who fought against an Indian army of 2,000. And when Katsumoto hears the story of Algren being forced to fight this losing battle, he goes, huh, based. This whole Japanese dying with honor shtick.
This is what I was saying, like, very much earlier in this. It's cultural as well. There are some cultures, there's way more respect put on this act than there are others. It's definitely been the case for most civilizations throughout history. But there comes a point where there are individuals that will question their own actions. They will question the results of what they have achieved and the means. It's never going to be like everyone agrees. That's always going to happen, where there's going to be like this character disagrees or is troubled by the actions they're doing, even though technically it should be, or in his mind, it's a noble sacrifice or a noble cause.
Really rubs Algren the wrong way initially. But at the very least, he really starts to warm up to the integrity and the discipline he sees in the traditional Japanese way of living. So when Katsumoto decides to go to battle with the Imperial Army again, Algren joins the battle, this time on the side of the rebels. And now you have
Wait, I feel like I have seen this movie a bit.
this epic clash between old customs and new. The gun versus the blade. Honor versus progress. The samurai obviously have the moral high ground here, with more determination, tactics, and skills than the enemy.
I wouldn't even say that's a moral high ground. That just sounds like they're viewing themselves as better, but this other side can think the same thing. They think themselves as having the moral high ground of, okay, we're fighting for the betterment of the entire country, and we have better weaponry to show that we are moving the future. Like, it can go both ways, and I think this is a slightly flawed perspective, that it's always you view your own side more positively than you will the other.
So when they fight, all that doesn't even matter as it becomes a massacre.
Yes. Thinking you have the moral high ground doesn't change reality. You can think that that your side is God ordained, and it doesn't matter if the other force is actually just stronger or actually has the resources and tools to win.
To call it a battle is being nice. No matter how skilled you are with a sword and a horse, you are not beating a Gatling gun. The Imperial soldiers have had a year to train, and now with the help of modern weapons, they slaughter the samurai. That day, modern values won.
Yeah. Also, I think it's a Maxim chain gun, right? I can't remember the exact one, but this is something that you do need to understand, is having a self-righteous goal or cause doesn't mean you win. Even more so is, just because you think you're right doesn't mean you are actually better or that you even are right in the first place. They think that they're right in their ways, and the other side thinks they're right in their ways. So if both of you think you're right, then how can the other side possibly be right in that case? Your side's the one that's right. No, my side's the one that's right. You're the side that's wrong. No, you're the side that's wrong. Like, thinking that you have a moral advantage over the other person doesn't mean you win. It just means that you've given yourself basically an excuse to lose.
Curtains finally closed on the age of the Bushido, with even Katsumoto preferring to die by his own blade rather than surviving in a world where his values are no longer the norm. Defeated once again, Algren is brought to the young Emperor Meiji. And he's not really a bad guy either. He saw Japan being left behind in modern advancements, and had to make the tough call to get rid of certain traditions in order to make sure Japan can still exist years from now.
That's what I brought up just a moment ago, is one of them is fighting for the future of the entire country to progress into the future. The other one's fighting for tradition and keeping the country as it was before. And it's a clash of ideals, and thinking that the traditionalists have the moral high ground compared to the ones that are foregoing some of it, that doesn't make them better. It doesn't make them winners. It just made them fools in this case.
There could be other reasons as to why he was okay with being westernized, but at least through Katsumoto's efforts, the young emperor sees that he must not completely forget who they are as a people, even if they do decide to become modernized. The movie ends with Meiji saying how much he respected Katsumoto, the last samurai, and he asks Algren how Katsumoto died. And Algen refuses to answer that question, and instead replies with, "I will tell you how he lived."
And that's way more. That's like a separation, because it's, remember, for their culture, it was dying in battle is honorable. But for the new age, it's not how he died, it's how he lived that's more important. Because that's where the ideals, that's where his philosophies, that's where the person who died became who he was. That's more valuable than he died in a battle honorably. That's it. It's a slight difference, and it is not just outwardly spoken. It's not like, oh, he died like this. However, the way he lives is actually more important. Like, it's short, and it lets you think about it yourself.
Too many of us intertwine our traditional masculine values to our identity. The sentiment of how badass it would be to die in battle is cool on the surface, but kinda sad after you peel back the layers on what the desire it's rooted in. This is something I'm trying to understand myself, so I am in the same boat as anyone who resonated with whatever I just said today. The longing for the good old days is only as popular as it is because there is a lot of guys that feel powerless, valueless, and inauthentic as a man because the reality of becoming this unrealistic vessel of Chad energy can't be achieved. After all, if all of us knew that we actually have internal value and we don't have to prove ourselves with money, women, or how well you can swing a sword in order to feel valued, we might put the likes of these people out of business.
Honestly, I think it's for the better too. Like, this is why I was saying too earlier, was we're basically, we are not giving ourselves a goal or our own values. We're letting other people give it to us. And in doing so, we are basically we're constricting ourselves to a singular or very limited result, instead of being able to create your own that can be a lot more forgiving, a lot more encompassing, and a lot more positive even. Because this one, the way that the preachings of this is extremely reductive of a person, I believe, in my opinion, because it basically forces them to view themselves as never being enough. It forces them to believe that they are always in need of change, and that's not always a bad thing, because always wanting to improve yourself is a means of always wanting to change. But the way it's being presented is, in my opinion, problematic, and done so in a somewhat malicious way at times.
There's no benefit into rushing into whatever suicidal charge you might be going through in your personal life. I would suggest understanding that we have these desires to be authentic, socially engineered or not, but the key is to not let it consume or constrict you. Once you stop thinking that you can prove your worth in every breath you take, once you realize that living for a cause can be 10 times more badass than dying for one, there's so much more interesting, big brain expanding interests and lifestyles that this human experience can bring. So reiterating the question, how do we as men scratch that itch of wanting to feel valued in a world where we don't need to run headfirst into no man's land for a cool movie scene in our heads? A purpose. A purpose that can look at a future Gohan or a Katsumoto and say that it's badass, but not an ideal to live by. Because at the end of the day, this world is even more messed up than most of the movies and stories we love. You can definitely scratch that itch of being a hero right now. Trust me, dying for a cause isn't going to be enough. Because what we need is those that are willing to live for one as well.
I like him.
Oh,
Okay, Q&A time. What made you decide on the name Mayorski? It's not really that crazy of a story, it's just the nickname I had growing up. I think my dad knew a Nigerian footballer named Mayorski Lashi, and then he just started calling me that, I don't know why. How do you structure your videos? Basically, I treat every single video like a ball of dirt, and I keep polishing that ball of dirt until it becomes some sort of a shiny ball of dirt.
I love this one, the polished ball of dirt phrase. A polished ball of dirt is still a ball of dirt. It just happens to look prettier.
So it's just constant refining from the very, 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 very rough draft. What motivates you to keep on making videos? Honestly, I can't imagine how my life would be if I didn't have somewhere to express my hyperfixation for that month. So even if this goes nowhere, I'd still be probably making videos off the sole fact I need to continue being a regular human and I can't not talk about certain things for a long period of time.
Hell yeah.
What are you reading right now? I just finished Dragon and Chameleon. That was really good, but man, it's only like 24 chapters and it's monthly, so that really sucks.
Oh, that's a pain. I'm on like some sites and the update for some chapters is just broken. So a chapter is updated and then it's loading and then every page is not working. So I'm like, okay, so it's a failed upload and I just have to ignore it, and then I just keep seeing on my feed is like, oh, there's an updated chapter. I'm like, oh, is there? Oh, it's not. It's the broken one. And I'm like, I check it. Yeah, it's broken. I'm like, man, this sucks. And then it's like this one where it's like, it's every month is the one. Oh, that's so rough.
How does it feel from where you blew up? I don't know. It doesn't feel. The last big crazy surreal moment was definitely hitting 10k, and now I feel like I'm just steadily chugging along and I have my own little niche of people who I hop in a group chat with every month and say, hey guys, this is what I'm reading or watching and I like this a lot, please listen to me. Have you ever considered getting waves? Yes, and I never will because I am terrible at maintaining my hair. I am currently trying to grow out the afro, which arguably is another hairstyle that takes a lot of maintaining, but I'm really committed to it. So what's your favorite?
But this is so funny. I think this is like one of the like silliest jokes that I have like been experiencing for a bit, is always like with a like black character or perceived black character, like Piccolo. It's like, would Piccolo rock waves? Like, it is so funny to me. And then when I was playing Borderlands 4, Timekeeper, the main enemy, I'm trying to remember if it was my cousin or I, because we played the game together. I'm trying to remember if one of us asked, like, do you think Timekeeper's black? I'm like, dude, he'd absolutely be rocking waves. I'd see it. And then every time he ever showed up, I manually edited waves onto his head. So he was always he always had waves because of that first interaction with him. And I loved it. It's so fun.
What's your favorite anime? I will never tell you my favorite anime. It's constantly changing. There is a rotating 3, but I feel bad for speaking about any one of them and putting them any below.
Tell us for the current one then.
So it sounds like I'm getting mad at you, but I'm also getting mad at myself because I ask this question all the time to myself and I never have a proper answer to
fade
myself.
out,
So
Brand.
honestly, you really just triggered me.
I definitely should have turned this down like we walked throughout, but that's funny. That was fun. I love the stuff he's doing with his videos too. That was a fun first little reading. What the hell? But I enjoyed it. I enjoy hearing his thoughts, his impressions on stuff. But yeah, this was Mayorski's video, Men's Obsession with Dying in Battle. I believe we do agree on certain parts, basically of having a purpose and actually needing to be alive to accomplish stuff instead of dying one off and then the world moves on. It's gonna move on without you. So would you rather be alive for it to as time passes, or would you rather end and then it just passes you by? And I think that it's so important that you give yourself a purpose rather than letting other people give it to you. And I think that's the most important part of why some men are like obsessed with dying in battle, dying with honor, dying with glory. It's because they're giving themselves a purpose for the sake of other people rather than just the sake of kind of dying for the sake of dying. But anyways, if you enjoyed, I was going to say something else, but I thought, no, I need to stop there. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you go over to the channel, give a like, comment, subscribe. If you could do the same for me, I'd appreciate it. And with that, I think we're done here. We out.